Now, our buddy Jack, he is a big Penguins fan. He's not very happy. It's not been a great year. Don't know what's happening with Sid in a year, what the offseason is going to be for Crosby, and he wants Sullivan gone.
Good luck.
But I know we've talked about that in the past, and maybe that's wishful thinking. Is it a change in coach on the way for Pittsburgh? Because it seems like it's unlikely. Why is that? I guess lead us to that.
Well, for one, this Pittsburgh Penguins roster is really poorly constructed. There are holes all over the place. They have poorly evaluated talent. Their bottom six was not fixed. The Erik Karlsson trade was not what they needed. And I don't believe that for a guy that helped the Penguins to back-to-back Stanley Cups, that Mike Sullivan woke up these last 2 years and forgot how to coach hockey. I don't see it. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. And the Pittsburgh Penguins have rewarded him as such. I mean, his contract extension was massive. It makes him one of the highest paid coaches in the league. They did the deal last year, not around this time, maybe like 15 months ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken, on my timeline.
Yeah.
And they extended him beyond his GM in Ron Hextall, and they did the deal without Ron Hextall. So Boston guy, Fenway Sports Group ownership, they're as thick as thieves. And I don't want to say Kyle Dubas doesn't have the autonomy to make a coaching change, but he'd have to present a really compelling case for a flawed roster to have Fenway Sports Group step outside of the power that Mike Sullivan has in that organization. I'd say John Tortorella, Mike Sullivan, maybe Rod Brindamore, the 3 most powerful coaches in the league when it comes to having say in personnel decisions. He's not going anywhere.
That's kind of what we've been led to believe. So Jack, I'm sorry, buddy.
Sorry, Jack. Did anyone out there believe that Karlsson thing was going to work in Pittsburgh? I didn't. I was pretty adamant that I thought it was going to be a poor addition. But am I out on a limb, or was that a general consensus? Because there's lots of times GMs make moves and you're like, Jesus, that's not going to work. Why are you doing that?
I mean, I had the same initial reaction as you, but if you're a Penguin fan, you were sitting there going, we just got 100-point defenseman. My answer to that at the time, and you can go rewind the pods in August, when I said the Penguins didn't need 100-point defenseman that doesn't play defense. It wasn't what separated them from making the playoffs last year. And it's not just that. For me, it's the other moves that were made, the contracts and term. Look, I get that part of the Karlsson deal was to wipe away some contracts that you didn't like, but multiple years for Lars Eller, multiple years for Noel Acciari. I can't understand. I still can't understand what their thought process is. Okay, the Riley Smith trade, that makes sense. That was one I understood. You take a cap casualty from Vegas, a guy who has cup pedigree. Sure, bring him in. But he didn't work. You should have moved him at this year's deadline. Like, the fact that Riley Smith didn't get traded blows my mind. It was almost like they thought, hey, we're going to make the tough decision on Jake Gensel, and maybe we could sneak in to the playoffs this year. They haven't been within sniffing distance. Like, think of all the teams that we just talked about. We were like, maybe the Islanders, the Devils, I guess, if you kind of squinted hard enough. No one's even talking about the Penguins.
So you mentioned that the ownership group is involved and may give contract to the coach. And I think you're right. I think the coach is great. Besides the point, I'm getting more to, is the ownership too involved? Are they influeing some of these decisions? We're a million miles away from Pittsburgh. I have but when you say the ownership group is handing out a contract to the coach, I don't give a shit. That's their decision. They can do what they want. But are they also involved in day-to-day management to an extent where it might be they might be going too far?
I don't think so. I think part of that was an initial feeling out process once they took control of the team. I think they realized that there were a lot of issues or flaws with the Ron Hextall group, and they were certainly more hands-on then. But I think once Kyle Dubas came in, I haven't heard of any sort of meddling or anything like that. In fact, I think he's had, for the most part, almost complete autonomy to make the moves that he sees fit. And think about how damaging that Karlsson deal is. I mean, not having your first round pick this year, I know that it's top 10 protected. And I think there is some thought that the Penguins have the optionality to choose whether they want to give San Jose that pick now. But the fact that it could stretch into next year and not be lottery protected, tell me the path for the Penguins to be more like they're going in the opposite direction. They were like the first team out last year. This year they drop back to 11th, 12th, 13th in the conference. How far is it to the bottom?
Yeah. You wonder with that Karlsson trade, right? It's like, isn't it? It's your father-in-law, right? That loves a good deal. He'll buy stuff that he doesn't necessarily need or can't use just because
it's on
the price
sale.
is right.
Yeah, size 17 shoes. Who cares? It's a hell of a deal.
Costing you money not to buy it, Frank. Maybe the deal is just we're getting like you say, 100-point defenseman. Don't know that we need him. Yeah, but it's a hell of a deal.
Sometimes the best moves you make are the ones you don't do.
Well, maybe.
I mean, the Penguins changed out $24 million on their cap, and they went the wrong direction in the standings.
And they don't have a look about them that they're set up to go in the other direction. Like it's.
And then you hear Kyle Dubas speak after the trade deadline, and he says, "We owe it to Sidney Crosby. We vow to be more competitive." How?
What are you?
Yeah.
Where are your bullets?
And why would you want to? Like, with all due respect to Sid, who's having one of the best 36-year-old seasons in league history, and for my money should win the Selke this year. How? Like, why? Your goal now should be to get to the bottom as quickly as possible. Bottom out as soon as you can, and then figure it out from there.
I know we've talked about it here. No, I don't know if we have talked about it, but what will Crosby when the garbage bag day hits and 82 games have come and gone and it's another disappointing season? And like you say, Crosby has 79 points in 73 games. He's got 35 goals. It's an amazing year for him. What does he say when he's asked about his future, the team's future, and all of that moving forward?
He says all the right things, because that's actually what he's thinking and feeling. He wants to be a Pittsburgh Penguin, has no intentions or visions to go elsewhere. And I would be real surprised if we get to the 4th of July this year and the Pittsburgh Penguins haven't announced a new extension with Sidney Crosby. I think they've already done work on it. I think they already had initial conversations before the calendar even turned to 2024. I don't think this trade deadline and or this season has changed his thought process that he wants to be a Penguin for life, and extension coming at some point. That's my understanding, my view.
There you go. I never know how quite to feel about that, because you see players like that, and does he deserve better? Do they deserve better? I don't know that the team, it's not his fault.
It's as good as it could have been.
Yeah,
you won 3 cups. You got to a 4th final. You won multiple Conn Smythes. You won multiple Hearts and scoring, races. Your team made the playoffs for 16 consecutive years. Like, deserve more? Like, how much more do we get in life?
Yeah, no, I do understand. I guess just as the sun sets on it.
Time, I like, what more could you possibly want?
You're right.
I mean, the only unfortunate part is that you have to play and live in Pittsburgh, but that's another thing.
Oh, Philly guy. There it is. See that, Rhett, we never really take
Lots of
that
hills.
into account.
There's a lot of hills. The road
Very hilly,
system-
lots of
the
green.
road system is the shits. It's no good.
That drive in from the airport, beautiful,
Oh.
beautiful.
We have one street of bars. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. Should have Retro should have known. Don't get too far down the Pittsburgh trail with a Philly guy. But that's all right.
I actually like Pittsburgh. It's just it's easy to pick on.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.